Okay, everyone, now I'm going to be talking about the scientific knowledge that we learned throughout our investigation project. Although we learned a lot about our research question and how that fed into our project, we also learned a lot more scientific concepts that will help us throughout our life and our future classrooms. So, the first concept that we looked deeper into was dendrology. So, scientifically speaking, this term is defined as the science and study of wooded plant life. So, this was definitely something that helped us throughout our project as it focused in on the idea of trees and everything that trees are. So, this was a really helpful concept for me when figuring out what tree I was working with because I did not know right off the bat. So that helped me with that, and it also helped me with knowing what was going to happen next in our research. It definitely helped me understand what was going on when I did see certain things in our observations. Going back to dendrology kind of helped me encompass everything that was going on with my tree and that was going on in the project in general. So this definitely was a good resource for us to refer back to, and it definitely was a good thing to learn about. So the next concept that we talked about in our project, and that was a helpful resource, was photosynthesis. So alongside dendrology, we found that this definitely supported our process as this was something that we were observing every day, even if we knew it or not. So photosynthesis is the method by which plants use energy from sunlight to convert into chemical energy. So throughout our investigation, we found that the changes in different weather conditions was affecting the photosynthesis as well. So photosynthesis was definitely occurring in better weather conditions. So when it was snowing and sleeting and raining, we found that it was not present in our trees, that photosynthesis was not happening. However, on a sunny day, comparing that, on a sunny day, we could see photosynthesis working in front of our eyes. And throughout this concept also involves chlorophyll, which I did not know what chlorophyll was. So this was another great concept that we learned throughout our project. So chlorophyll makes oxygen as a byproduct. It is the green pigment found in plants. And so plants use a mixture of chlorophyll and light to produce food for themselves, which in turn affects their growth. So through the chlorophyll and the photosynthesis process, our tree was growing. Although the only way that photosynthesis would be able to happen is through sunlight, and then the only way that chlorophyll would be working is if photosynthesis was working. So overall, it all comes back to sunlight making a big effect on our tree growth and change. So the last concept of scientific knowledge that we learned about was budding. We discovered that our project needed the idea of budding because it was a form of asexual reproduction in organisms, including trees and wildlife, in which growth in leaves begin. So budding takes place in the spring, and it is the further development of new, mature branches and leaves for that season. So this concept was very important because, again, we saw it kind of happen in front of our eyes, which was really cool. It was very interesting to learn about a concept and then be able to see it in our data later on. So the idea of budding was it occurred more in the spring than it did in those winter months that we were observing our data. But so we found that our budding aligned with our hypothesis because we knew that when the tree was getting more sun, that that tree would start to bud, and the tree in the branches would start to get stronger and grow leaves and change colors and so on. So in those first few months of data we took, the tree was filled with snow and the branches were falling off, and it was very bare. There was no leaves or anything. And then throughout time, we saw the branches get much more mature and strong and be able to hold up the tree itself. And then we saw the budding begin, which turned into leaves, which then changed colors and now make up the tree as a whole. So throughout these 3 or 4 different concepts of scientific knowledge, we feel as a group that we learned a lot more through our project than what we just based our research on. So as I went through before, dendrology, photosynthesis, chlorophyll, and budding were all different concepts of scientific knowledge that we learned throughout our project.